Alright, Surreal Gane versus Francis Ngannou. This was disappointing, I guess. I specifically am late on these videos, and I'm recording this on Wednesday. The fight happened last Saturday. Specifically late because I wanted to wait a couple days to let it all sort of sink in. Because when the fight ended, and in the day after, and seeing everything that happened, I was pretty pissed. Like, I would have come with a more biased in an angry way, and not necessarily super reasonable take, just because I was disappointed with how the fight went. Because it was fucking boring. It was sort of how I predicted it. I didn't know how I predicted, but I was fearing and asserted that people weren't excited about this fight because they thought it was going to be boring. Because people thought Surreal would win, even if not everybody. And it was. Like, it was pretty fucking boring. The first two rounds, first round, Surreal's best round, comes out, heavy movement. Francis threw like 2 strikes, like, maybe not that, but like, you get it. Like, pretty clear Surreal domination, but not domination like he's punishing him or he's like embarrassing him. It was just like stick jab, move, run away, get to better position, whatever. Not the most thrilling experience, but when you're up at, it was 1:30 in the morning for us when the fight finally came on. So I was like, okay, let me find a way to get invested here. And I needed Surreal to win for my DraftKings lineup to win. So second round comes out. Francis is looking better. He's letting the hands loose a little bit more, mostly to the body, trying to hit the uppercut. Surreal still sticking, moving, landing more, better shots. Easy 2-round to Surreal. All Surreal had to do was win the third round, and he'd get the victory. But that's where Francis came in with the grappling and basically the big body slam takedown. It was more muscle than anything. It's not like it had bad technique, it's just that it wasn't great. I mean, it was mostly just pick up slam, which works. It's not like it's something that should be admonished. It's just that, and it's nice to see the hardest puncher, maybe besides Derrick Lewis, but that's a debate for another day. One of the hardest and scariest and most dangerous fighters in the UFC, let alone heavyweight, going round out his game. It's always nice to see that, the evolution of a fighter. Like, oh man, you can only strike. Oh no, now he can defend a takedown against Stipe. Now he's taking Gane down. But I feel like people are a little like I was blown away. I'll admit it. I wasn't like, I'm expecting a Francis takedown here. But like, when you think on it, it's kind of the inherently logical thing to do. Like, kind of fucking obvious. Like, you're down 2 rounds to nothing because Surreal Gane is outstriking you on the feet. You want to go box, but Surreal Gane is outstriking you on the feet. So, what do if you're a striker and you're getting outstruck on the feet? You change levels. You try and take it to a different dimension. Duh. I mean, like, we talk about this every week. And that's exactly what he did. Here's another piece of the pie that makes it work so great. Surreal Gane, obviously, is from Paris, France. I know it's not necessarily true for all European fighters, but especially like Brits and Parisians, Polish kind of, like a lot of Europeans are great strikers, but they're a little lacking in the grappling. And so the takedown was a much needed reprieve for Francis and an avenue to victory. And doubling that, a takedown against a European who are not well versed in wrestling or takedown defense or grappling. I shouldn't say grappling because Surreal obviously knows submissions, which we'll get to in a second. But like, generally, if you can take a European down, you can keep them there. Again, like, it's not true for every case. Obviously, different camps, different everything. But I mean, like, broad stroke, paintbrush. You get what I'm saying. I mean, we've been saying it since like 2005. The Europeans do not have the wrestling pedigree that other nations have. It's the same for Central and South America. South America less so because they rely heavily on the grappling in terms of jiu-jitsu. But like, even the Mexican, like Yair Rodriguez, he's good because he can stop the takedowns, except when he can't. Against an All-American wrestler and Frankie Edgar, takes him down and smashes him. Like, I'm getting off topic, but you get the point. Like, taking down a European, brilliant move, fairly obvious. It's just something we didn't expect Francis to do. and it's something we didn't expect him to do, and I'm pretty sure it's something we were hoping he wouldn't do, because then, as boring as the fight was, at least it was boring stand-up. As a wrestler, former wrestler, grappler, boring grappling's pretty fucking boring. It's way more boring and worse than boring stand-up. So that's what happened. He basically landed some ineffective ground and pound and wrestle fucked him, laid on him for the third round. Fourth round comes out, boom, same thing. Nothing substantial really. It's not like he landed a couple good shots. I can't remember what round it was, but Francis did land a couple of ground and pound shots that were like, oh, he got the attention of the room. Everybody sort of just sitting there, like waiting, and then oh, that was a big shot. That was something. But it was never really like, oh man, they're gonna stop the fight. No. It was piecemeal, and it was mostly Francis being tired and laying on top of him. Fifth round comes up, very exciting, as excited as you can be for a boring fight, because we're invested now. It's 2-2 going into. That's always compelling, no matter if it's an entertaining fight, the most entertaining fight in the world, or the most fucking boring fight in the world, which we're getting pretty close with that one. The fifth round, when it's 2-2, will always be compelling because it's who wants it more, who's willing to do what it takes to win. Surreal certainly tried. He went out after getting taken down for 2 rounds, after coasting basically for the first 2, winning, getting taken down for the next 2, being exposed greatly. The fifth round comes and he takes Francis down, and that was crazy. Like, I honestly didn't really see that coming. I thought Gane would try and stick and move, but I mean, it's smart. It worked for a time being. Then he threw up a leg lock. He's gotten a finish in the UFC with a leg lock heel hook submission before. And I thought he had it. At first, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh my god, he's got it. Then Francis was very calm, knew what to do, which just goes to show the evolution of his game. Props to him. I don't think Francis back in 2019, 2020 even, could have defended against that. But, could be wrong. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Francis defends against it. He ends up on top. And now there's about 3 minutes left in the fight. Francis is on top. What do you think he did? He laid there. Literally laid there. Got him in a hands clasped, chest to chest, and just bink, 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 bink. Like, it was bad. And you knew he was going to lose. My one issue with it is that I knew they wouldn't give the fifth round to Surreal, and like, you can make the argument that they should, and I guess they should. Maybe it's just me being a salty son of a bitch, but I will always value a fighter that attempts to finish the fight, no matter what. Like, Surreal Gane, that's something that should be rewarded for. Surreal Gane had dominant position, he had top position. He could have rode out Francis Ngannou for 4 minutes and won. He could have been the heavyweight champion of the world, but instead he decided to risk it and go for a submission. He tried to end the fight. He didn't try to wrestle fight and sit down there and do nothing. He tried to finish it. Whether it's ground and pound, whether it's submission, whether it's whatever, passing, guard, to get to bed, he tried to finish it. And it didn't work out for him. Obviously, 3 minutes of control time to Francis. I guess that outweighs a submission attempt, apparently, even though the new rules sort of like, isn't that supposed to not be what happens if nothing happens with a takedown? Isn't it supposed to be like, oh, that we're judging it as if a takedown didn't I could go on for this all day. I'm not going to go on for any longer with that bullshit. It just upsets me. I don't know what I'm saying. It's a damper on me to see somebody go for a finish. So to try and finish the fight. Try to not only be entertaining, which is what the company wants, but to try to prove that they're better on the ground. Surreal tried to prove he's better on the ground. It didn't pan out, but he wasn't rewarded in the slightest for it. Like, we don't give him any credit at all, whether the judges or the fans. It's just like, if in an alternate universe, Surreal lays on top of him and he wins for 4 minutes, and he wins. And if I don't think Francis was getting up, I'll be quite frank, I don't think Francis was getting up if Surreal was laid on top of him. So we could be in a very different area, have a very different topic of conversation. But Surreal Gane gets punished for trying to finish the fight, which is what we all want, especially that fight. I wanted that fight to be over basically after the first round, because I knew we were not going to get a Francis knockout. We were not going to get a Surreal TKO like we saw with Derek Lewis. It was going to be long, it was going to be boring, and it was. I don't think, and if you're saying like I'm being too harsh on it, maybe, but I'm pretty sure, and I think you can agree, come 3 months from now, you're not gonna be like, oh, you know, what's a great fight? Let's have a little fight. Oh yeah, we should watch Francis versus Surreal. Nobody's gonna do that because it sucked. Like it was the worst. I was gonna say it was the worst fight that either of them had, but we all know how Francis versus Derek Lewis went. Not even gonna touch that. Not gonna ramble anymore. Congrats to Francis. Props to Surreal for attempting to finish the fight. And ultimately, it was kind of shit way to finish the night. Like, we had a great fucking card. Moreno v. Figgy 3 was a brawl, a classic. And then we got that shit for 25 minutes. And it was pretty fucking boring. Which I can live with. It's just that it was at 1 fucking 30 it was at 1:30 in the morning. Getting a little frustrated because I'm going back to the headspace. Why I didn't want to make this? Because I'm going back to the headspace now. I'm whining, complaining. Because it was 1:30 in the morning. We got 20 people around the TV, and nothing's happened. And it is boring as balls. And we paid money for it. Like, for fuck's sake. Have an entertaining fight. Like, especially to have Francis and Ngannou, the knockout artists, this sort of wrestlefuck, the elusive kickboxer. It was a disappointment, to say the least.